What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best Helena build in Fellowship. So in this guide we are covering everything that you need to know about how to build both of the setups, the guarded veteran Helena build and the shockwave legendary build, and how to play her effectively. We'll go through the best talents and the gear setups, the ideal stat priorities, relic choices, and your optimized rotations for both single target and AoV fights. So Helena is one of the only two tanks in the game, and stands out for her proactive damage mitigation through her unique toughness mechanic. She also has one of the most satisfying cooldown reduction gameplays in Fellowship, allowing you to combine defensive and offensive abilities when played well. Her gameplay revolves around two main strengths: strong defensive cooldowns and exceptional team utility. The entire design of her kit is built around managing toughness and maximizing the value of your Veteran of War passive, which constantly reduces your cooldowns as you cycle through the abilities. The most important thing to understand when playing Helena is how her cooldown reduction interacts across your kit. Almost every ability provides cooldown reduction to one another, meaning that wasted casts will directly impact your overall survivability and the damage, so learning which skills will feed into which is key. In general, you want to avoid wasting cooldown reduction and keep your rotation tight. You should also aim to smooth out your damage intake, so use shield ups when your toughness drops below 40%, then when your block buff is about to expire, or when you're about to overcap on the charges. Iron Wall is another core part of your survival loop. It prevents your toughness from dropping for its duration, which gives you time to generate shield up charges safely. If you use it correctly, then it can stabilize even in the most dangerous boss mechanics. Also, if you're interested in buying Fellowship with a 30% discount or even other PC or console games with 50 to 70% off, then check out Instant Gaming. For example, I want to buy Elden Ring, so we just click on Add to Cart, then click Pay, and then finish the purchase. After payment is complete, we will receive an activation key, so copy and paste it in your Steam, and it's that simple. Click my link in the description to check out Instant Gaming for yourself. So let's take a look at the talents. Early on, your goal is to build a foundation that keeps you alive through every dungeon and the boss, while still maintaining a smooth cooldown uptime. As I mentioned at the start, we have two builds, so let's start with the first one, which is the guarded veteran. At level 2, your first choice should be the shield mastery. This boosts your block strength and overall mitigation that helps you to start strong. Then at level 3, you will take the shield mastery and pick up the guarded veteran. At level 4, you will grab the high command, which begins to tie your rotation together by adding small but steady cooldown reduction when you use your core defensive abilities. At level 5, add the shrapnel blade and the magic ward. These will provide both the extra damage on your strikes and a layer of magic resistance, making mixed enemy counters much easier to handle. At level 6, round out your setup with the frontline defender and the master of the war. By level 7, you will take the gleaming shield, which enhances the value of your defensive rotation. Then at level 9, the goal is to reinforce your existing setup by keeping the guard veteran, the high command, gleaming shield, frontline defender, master of war, and shrapnel blade all active. At level 10, you will expand further with reinforced steel again, solidifying yourself as a near immovable wall against physical damage. At level 11, you will reintroduce the magic ward into the mix, balancing your resistances so you're durable against both the physical and magical elements. And then at level 12, you will add the second wind for the recovery and sustain. This gives you a safety buffer, ensuring that you can bounce back even during heavy burst windows. And finally, at level 13, your guarded veteran build will come fully online, with reinforced steel, guarded veteran, the shrapnel blade, the high command, second wind, gleaming shield, frontline defender, and the magic ward all active. At this point, Helena will feel complete, your defense and cooldown flow will reach their peak, and you can stand toe-to-toe with any encounter in the game. And then for the second build, we have the shockwave legendary setup that shifts more towards offense. At level 13, your talent setup is reinforced steel, after shock, the high command, second wind, frontline defender, shrapnel blade, and the gleaming shield. This version revolves entirely around your legendary boots and transforms the Helena into a powerhouse that dishes out massive burst damage while still remaining fairly tanky. However, if you find yourself struggling to survive, then you can swap out the aftershock for the guarded veteran and the magic ward, but just keep in mind that you will be trading a lot of damage for that extra toughness. Next up we have gear, and the best weapon is the Fateful Arms, which offers a 60-second cooldown cleave strike that also buffs your expertise stat by 20%, and more importantly, it grants an incredible 200% cooldown reduction during the 6-second duration. This CDR boost will directly feed into your entire kit, especially the shield up and the grand melee, by letting you enter near permanent defensive uptime during difficult encounters. However, an alternative is the Sacriel's Arms, which has a 60-second cooldown and creates a self-applied absorb, which is equal to nearly your entire health bar. When that absorption expires or is fully consumed, it explodes in a massive burst of fire damage, dealing AoE damage around you. It's more offensively oriented than the Fateful Arms, but still offers very strong survivability during its active window. Then weapon traits are another key layer to the power. For major capstone, the Visions of the Grandeur is the best. It's easily the most impactful for both damage and sustain. And then for offensive traits, Inspired Allegiance and the Hunter's Focus are your go-tos. Both synergize perfectly with the Helena's consistent uptime playstyle. And then defensively, King of the Hill and the First Man Standing are top tier and help you to stabilize your incoming damage in the tougher fights. Then when it comes to set bonuses, you only want 2 set pieces at most, so that you can maximize the jump power on the rest of your gear. The best set for Helena is the Dark Prophecy, which grants a massive 25% haste increase for 20 seconds. It procs roughly once per minute and completely supercharges Helena's cooldown loop. And then Drakherm's Absolution is a strong alternative, offering a 20% agility boost during your ultimate for a clean and reliable stat bump. Then for your legendary, there's only one true winner, the War Boots of the Blackened Vanguard. These boots will make your charge ability trigger a shockwave on the impact. The shockwave inherits all of your talent effects like the Aftershock, and also causes enemies hit to deal 5% reduced damage to you for 5 seconds. It even grants cooldown reduction through your Veteran of War passive, making it both an offensive and defensive monster of a legendary. Next up we have Relics, and the Saltwash Elixir is essential. It instantly heals you for 40% of your max health and has a very short cooldown. Helena lacks native self-healing, so this relic will fill the gap perfectly. And then the second one is the Sin-Bidding Stone, that provides a 50% team-wide damage reduction for 15 seconds on a 3-minute cooldown. This one is incredible in a coordinated group or boss fights with high burst windows. However, if you're looking for alternatives, specifically utility, then the Grimoire of Resurrection is always solid. It gives your party a combat resurrection on a 5-minute cooldown. And then the Ancient Wardstone is another strong choice for specific dungeons, as it instantly dispels all harmful magic effects from your group. Then next we have stats, and the priority for Helena is very straightforward. Item level and strength always comes first, as strength will scale both your damage and your toughness. After that, haste is your most valuable secondary, because it shortens your global cooldowns and reduces the cooldown of your shield up, that directly amplifies your Veteran of War passive. Then next is the Spirit, which slightly reduces your ultimate cooldown, but more importantly, it gives you a chance to double the cooldown reduction that you gain from the Veteran of War. Then Expertise follows, increasing both your damage output and the size of your Observation shield. And then the Critical Strike comes last. It only affects your damage and doesn't contribute to your mitigation. However, once you reach around 20% in each key stat, then it's better to diversify rather than to stack one too high, because of the diminishing returns. Next up, gems are another big part of the endgame power, so you will want to prioritize socketing pieces with the highest gem power. Legendary gear will give you 100% power, while normal pieces will only give you about 35%. Early on, you don't want to worry about min-maxing, so save your reroll currency for the higher tier gems later in the progress. For basic gem priority, Topaz is king, since it gives you haste. After that, go for the diamond, then emerald, then ruby, then sapphire, and finally the amethyst. But once you reach the late game, you'll ideally want to stack as much topaz as possible for the maximum haste benefit, and then also invest some into the amethyst if you hit the gem cap. And now finally, let's see how to actually play this build. Her gameplay centers around entirely managing toughness, which is your unique mitigation bar that is played right on top of your character. The more toughness you have, the less damage you will take. We have 4 tiers of the damage reduction, so 10, 30, 50 and 70%. You will lose toughness when taking hits and regain it through the shield slam or the shield up, so keeping your toughness high at all times is key. Overall, Iron Wall is your emergency button. It freezes your toughness level for 12 seconds, letting you stabilize when you're out of the shield stack ups or caught in a heavy damage phase, so always aim to activate it around 50% toughness or even higher to maximize its benefit. Then for your rotation, Helena will run on a priority system rather than having a specific rotation due to her cooldown reduction effects. So shockwave comes first, since it feeds the cooldowns to the shield up and does the major damage. Then the shield slam is next, by generating 25% toughness and resetting the shockwave. Then hold the line will reset the shield slam and add an absorption shield. Then the shield throw and the shield charge both will grant CDR across your entire kit and should be used on a cooldown. Then sweeping strike and the power strike will serve as the strong fillers that keep your uptime smooth, while finally the measuring strike is used only when everything else is recharging. And then finally, your grand melee ability is incredibly powerful. It grants a 20% magic damage reduction to you and nearby allies, and more importantly, it silences enemies in its area for 10 seconds, forcing them to only auto-attack. This lets you neutralize dangerous mobs or bosses and pull far more aggressively, so use it as much as possible.